Just spend time together. Find some shared interests, and your family will be bonded. Is it that simple? That's what they said.
Well, as long as everyone, sits around on their cell phones, no problems.
Mended light? Welcome to Therapists Say, where we poll our Mended Light community about hurtful, stupid things that their therapists have said, or in some cases, just incomplete. This one was, hey, I want to bond my family. How do I do it? And the therapist says, just spend time together, find some common interests, and your family will be bonded. I think that's a great start. I'm not entirely convinced that's going to be the complete picture. What do you think?
Yeah. So I think if bonding as a family is a pie. Blackberry pie, pecan pie, your favorite kind of pie.
Razzleberry.
So your razzleberry pie. Shared interest is a slice of that pie.
Mm-hmm.
Quality time is a slice of the pie. It's not the whole pie. And if we just focus on those two things, it's going to be incomplete. It's like a piano, right? Like beautiful, tons of notes, but if we only hit one or two of them,
you can play Jaws.
It's going to be a very boring song, or you might get attacked by a shark.
Yes, exactly. So I like that. I love the pie, and you're good with analogies. You never told me that when we were dating. This is something that I discovered as we've been going. We have to just define what bonding is, because bonding is, we think about it as connection, but people don't just need connection. They need to feel safe. They need to feel respected. They need to feel accepted, especially because the outside world can be cruel, can be harsh, can be difficult. So home should be a safe haven. So to me, bonding is more than just we enjoy each other's company, we have fun.
Right.
Because I have people that I have fun with, but I wouldn't say that we're necessarily bonded. Like I couldn't turn to them in my worst moments for support. Or so it's some light bonding.
Yeah, and absolutely. We all have this innate need to be loved, right? Because if we're loved, that means we're accepted, we're worthy. Mm-hmm. Like we have a foundation to build our life on. So often what we give and receive isn't real love, it's conditional love, right? And so true love or real love is unconditional, right? It doesn't have any qualifying factors.
A lot of times we think we love someone unconditionally, and that may be true for what we feel, but not for what we show.
Right.
Because I unconditionally love our kids, but as far as what I show, I'm very much aware that sometimes it feels conditional in the sense if love is approval, if love is pleasure, like I'm pleased with you, or if love is I'm enjoying your company, which is especially...
It's easy to show love in those moments.
Yes, but that is much more conditional, even if I don't mean for it to be.
Right.
So even though I know that I love our kids unconditionally, do they know that, for example?
Right.
Right.
Well, and it's a lot harder to show unconditional love to your child that just spilt a glass of milk when you're already 10 minutes late to leave to go out the door, right? And that's what it looks like as a toddler.
Or jumped off of the roof of the house through the skylight of an RV.
Yeah, that's never happened at our house.
Come on, girl!
And if the day had started that way, sure, no problem. But we had already had a day. Like, you know what I mean? We had already had a day. And the six-year-old
wasn't allowed on the roof of the house or the RV.
Never been allowed.
Somehow found himself on one and through the other.
Jumped.
These things happen. Anyways.
Right. So it's in those hard parenting moments, right? Where it's like, how do we show up? How do we show love? In my experience, there's a lot of those hard parenting moments with teenagers, right? When they're trying to figure out what are my morals, what are my values, how do I fit in the world? They're trying to create an identity for themselves, separate from their family of origin, which is a very healthy thing to do. But it can feel like rejection. It can feel like pushing away, especially, with the parents, where they may feel judgment or conditional love, from, and I often say that teenagers often ask for love in the most unloving ways.
Well, and because it comes out as rebellion, or it comes out as rejection, or it comes out in all sorts of, they're hurting, they're lonely, they're anxious, it's not a, hey, I feel unloved, could you show me some love? It comes out ugly, and then it's hard to feel love in the moment or to show love. And so a big part of bonding, I think, is patience. A big part of unconditional love is patience. When you take a few breaths and respond with a calm tone instead of an angry tone, that is showing love. And when I do that with our kids, I know they see that I'm feeling it and they see that I'm working through. And to them, I think that registers as actual love and affection because I'm taking the time.
Yeah.
And also when you fail, when you stumble, when you don't show that patience, when you are humanly frustrated and angry, to come back and to separate the family member's behavior from your own and to say, look, what was going on with you and what you were doing was not okay, but that didn't make it right for me to yell at you. That didn't make it right for me to lose my temper. You didn't deserve that, and I'm sorry. Because I think we are trying to raise our kids to be accountable and humble and to take ownership, and we have to do that ourselves. But that is bonding. They feel loved when the parent takes the time to own their behavior instead of just letting the child sit with the shame of, I lost my cool and it's your fault. Right?
Yeah.
I'm angry because of you.
Well, and to recognize in a family, we're trying to balance so many different needs, right?
Yeah.
Because quite often we all have innately different personality types, however you want to phrase that, right? Like we don't have the same needs. We can all have the exact same experience and we all take it differently, right?
Yeah.
We have one child that is much more sensitive. We have another son that, sometimes he needs some pretty harsh consequences because he's the type that jumps off roofs through skylights at 6 years old.
Bless him.
Right? And our oldest daughter would never do that. And so our parenting towards her needs to be much softer because she's much more sensitive. And if I tried to parent our son, who is the opposite of soft and sensitive, like he literally wouldn't hear it. It wouldn't compute because sometimes he needs things to grab his attention to understand the seriousness of certain dynamics. And so understanding the different personality types, which that in and of itself is challenging, but an easier way to phrase it is, looking at their needs, right? And you're trying to balance each child's needs. And then as adults, we have needs too, right? And so like my need, a huge need I have as a parent, is to have an orderly house and to be organized. That need doesn't come before like my children feeling loved, but it's like we have to have.
But it's still on the table.
Right. And my needs are important too.
Yeah.
And so balancing those needs and not having a single person, a single person's needs being more important than the others.
You got to be patient and kind with yourself because there is no perfect balance. We can strive for it, but like someone is going to feel like they're getting the short end of the stick at some point or the other, and you can't crucify yourself for that. We all just do the best we can.
And having those conversations about balancing those needs, that is a perfectly appropriate thing to do as kids get older. Maybe, with toddlers, that's not something they're going to grasp, but our oldest daughter, she's a part of a youth group now, right? And she's super excited to be a part of this youth group. And so I was telling her about when summer camp is, and she's so excited. And she goes, I get to go to summer camp? And she's like, when is it? And we're
like, summertime.
Yeah. Well, and so I told her the dates, and we travel and we have a lot going on in our lives. And she goes, we're going to be here? Like this is going to happen? And we had a little bit of a conflict of her expressing her dissatisfaction with some of the trips we take and some of the travel that we do because it's what I want to do, but it's not particularly what she wants to do. And so I listened to her earlier and I didn't really respond when she was expressing her dissatisfaction. Like I didn't respond about my needs. Like I listened, but I didn't respond. And I turned to her and I said, yes, Sherry, we are going to be here for summer camp. I said, because we're a family and we do things that are important to each other. And I said, like, take this trip that's important to me. And she just looked at me and she went, but toddlers and teenagers are innately selfish. Like that's how they survive the developmental stage that they're going through. And that doesn't mean we need to revolve the world around them. That means we need to take those opportunities to teach them and to be patient.
Well, and I see balancing the needs of every member of the family. adjusting your approach, tailoring your approach to the needs of the person in front of you?
Well, I was going to talk about like this balancing of needs because it has so much to do with how we do it with showing love. And none of us, quite often, we don't have the skills. Like that's a practice skill.
Okay.
And to start practicing that skill, like in those single conversations, we focus on one person's needs. Like we don't try and address your needs and my needs at the same time in the same conversation.
Well, and you brought up that, parents have needs as well.
Right.
And one of the things that has brought me a lot of joy is when our kids are looking out for us. Mm-hmm. I'll be sitting there working, and our Skylight son,
that should be his new nickname.
Skylight son. He's also very sweet, though. He brought me a fruit plate.
Yeah.
Like he cut me up an apple, he peeled an orange and a banana, and he just brought me like a plate of fruit to take care of me. Or, our youngest daughter sometimes says to me, "Is there anything I can do for you, Daddy?"
Yeah.
And it doesn't just happen naturally. They've seen us do that with each other, and we've done that with them. And children...
Don't worry, they do plenty of innately selfish things.
Oh, yeah,
too.
for sure. I'm highlighting the exceptions because they're so glorious. But that shows me that children have an innate self-centeredness. And it's not a judgment call. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying that's developmental. We start seeing the world...
they're hardwired that way
to be taken care of,
to survive.
I am taken care of. I am at the center of my universe. And to get them looking outwards is a process. But it is bonding for them because when we are just served, we don't experience the joy of serving. Mm-hmm. And it's great for our relationships when they actually serve one another or when they serve us instead of just all roads lead to them. Because that's how healthy relationships are as adults. And they can develop those skills now.
Well, and I think going back to where we started with like spending time together and providing those opportunities through spending time together. I know sometimes with our children when they get a wee bit too self-involved, right? We look for opportunities to serve other people outside ourselves, in the community or things like that. I also, when they're having a hard time appreciating each other, they have the wonderful opportunity to tell the other person 5 things they're grateful for about them, right? And so that time is important. Understanding needs is important. Having shared interests is important. Playing and laughing together is important.
Right.
And it has to be, I think, because of all the distractions we have in our lives and all the other opportunities we have, which are a wonderful blessing, it does take a lot more intention as a family to do that. It's not something that's just going to happen. Family culture happens regardless. Intentional family culture takes time and effort, and we actually have a process.
Yeah. Well, so we have a family counsel system that you can learn about with a member of our therapeutic team. It's an online course that you do in conjunction with counseling. If you want to see if that's a good fit for you, schedule a complimentary 15-minute consultation with a therapist on our team. The link is in the description below. We want to know from you, how do you bond with your family? What have you found to be helpful? What are some things that a therapist or somebody else has told you? What's some advice that you've received that was poor that you'd like us to dress down and replace with something better? Let us know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this conversation, let's pivot to dating advice. Let's just see where this goes. Let's just play it by ear. Is that a good way to do things, or do you want to be more intentional? We've got a video for you to check out. As always, like, subscribe, click the bell so you get notified of new videos. And until next time, keep shining because we need your light. Oh, look, here it comes. The other video. You know what we're big on here? Giving.